It was once unimaginable. Music mogul Diddy, the face of luxury, success, and unstoppable influence, now standing at the center of one of the most disturbing celebrity scandals in recent memory. But now, the walls are closing in, with FBI raids, shocking testimony, and even explosive car incidents. The fall of Sean Diddy Combs is starting to look like more than a legal mess. It's beginning to resemble a full-on unraveling of a dark empire. So, what really happened behind the closed doors of Diddy's mansions, hotel rooms, and private jets? And how did one of the most powerful figures in entertainment allegedly run a lifestyle so chaotic it left a trail of broken lives and destroyed relationships? Let's dive into the story that could change everything you thought you knew about one of hip-hop's most iconic figures. It was late 2011. Kid Cudi had just started seeing Cassie, Diddy's longtime girlfriend, after the two had apparently broken up. Everything seemed calm, until it wasn't. One morning, Cudi and Cassie both received a chilling phone call. On the line was Capricorn Clark, a mutual acquaintance and employee of Diddy. Her voice was shaky. She was sitting outside of Cudi's house, terrified because Diddy had just broken in. She didn't say it in so many words, but the message was clear. This wasn't just a visit, it was a warning. Cudi testified that his security cameras had been tampered with. His dog, usually free to roam, was found locked in a bathroom, clearly shaken and on edge. Even luxury gifts inside his home had been opened without permission. It was more than a break-in. It was an invasion. A message. Cassie, scared and unsure what to do, had given Diddy the address. She later said she didn't know what he would do, only that she feared what might come next. But this was only the beginning. Just weeks after that break-in, Kid Cudi's Porsche mysteriously went up in flames outside his home. The official cause? Never fully explained. But Cudi didn't need confirmation. He told the court he knew exactly who was behind it. In a bold move, he called Diddy and demanded a meeting. The two eventually met at the exclusive Soho house in West Hollywood, and what Cudi described felt less like a conversation and more like a confrontation with a comic book villain. Diddy stood calm, composed, unfazed. When Cudi accused him of blowing up his car, Diddy simply replied, "I don't know what you're talking about." Even years later, when they crossed paths again at Soho House, Diddy offered an apology for all that BS. But it didn't seem like regret. It felt more like damage control. And despite everything, Cassie had returned to him. Cudi told the court that he felt manipulated, even used by Cassie. "She played you?" the lawyer asked. "Yes," Cudi replied. "You had no clue?" "No clue." If anyone could speak to the abuse Cassie endured, it was her best friend, Carrie Morgan. But even she wasn't safe from Diddy's wrath. Carrie described Diddy as dominating, aggressive, and unpredictable. She witnessed firsthand moments where Diddy pushed, hit, and even kicked Cassie during arguments. One of the most haunting memories? Watching Cassie flee the house barefoot, hiding behind a neighbor's front steps for half an hour, because Diddy was hunting her down in a rage. Carrie tried to help Cassie leave the toxic relationship, but Cassie claimed she couldn't. Diddy controlled everything: her job, her car, her apartment, even her money. Eventually, things turned on Carrie too. Diddy allegedly attacked her and later paid her $30,000 to keep quiet. She signed an NDA and never spoke to Cassie again. Her loyalty had been shattered. When asked in court if she ever considered suing, Carrie admitted she had, but Cassie convinced her to take the money instead. That was the final blow to their friendship, and the last time they ever spoke. As the investigation deepened, testimony started pouring in from the unlikeliest of sources: hotel staff. A manager from a luxury Beverly Hills hotel testified that Diddy's stays were nothing short of outrageous. Using hotel software that stores records permanently, he pulled up notes going back as far as 2006. The records? Disturbing. Always spills candle wax everywhere. One entry read, "Uses excessive oil, place room out of order upon departure, needs deep cleaning, authorize $1,000 deposit for damages. Other notes mentioned the need for staff to spray air freshener outside his room because the stench was that overwhelming. It painted a picture of chaos, indulgence, and total disregard for boundaries. But that wasn't the worst part. These rooms were more than just messy. According to multiple sources, they were carefully staged for something far more disturbing. George Kaplan worked closely with Diddy, and his job wasn't what you'd expect. His role? To prepare hotel rooms for Diddy's private events. And what he shared in court left everyone speechless. George testified that Diddy used an alias, Frank Black, to book rooms discreetly. Inspired by Biggie's Frank White, it was a name used to shield Diddy's identity. But behind that shield, George was the one who set everything up. Candles, Astroglide, baby oil, sometimes clothes, sometimes something stronger. He'd receive instructions, go on runs for food, supplies, even substances. Once, he walked into a room and found a brown powder crystallized on the sink. On a private jet, he remembered hearing glass shatter in the back cabin. Diddy emerged and asked him to bring makeup to cover Cassie's bruises. George didn't ask questions, but eventually, the guilt got to him. He left the job, citing moral boundaries and a desire to stop fixing things. His father had been diagnosed with cancer, and George realized he couldn't stay silent anymore. Then came the moment everything escalated. Armed with years of suspicion, witness testimony, and disturbing evidence, the FBI launched a coordinated raid on Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles. Over 80 agents participated. Armed vehicles stormed his gated mansion. Boats surrounded the property to ensure no one could flee. The raid didn't begin until 3 p.m. because they were tracking Diddy's movements and waited for him to leave. He was intercepted at a Florida airport, not handcuffed, but detained and questioned. Inside his Miami home, the findings were beyond disturbing. Dozens of bottles of lube and baby oil, bags of MDMA, Xanax, and ketamine, multiple phones. Pews. Every item hinted at a lifestyle not just reckless, but allegedly criminal. The federal government was no longer just watching. They were preparing for war. In one of the most emotional moments of the trial, Diddy's own assistant testified that Cassie once confided in him. Her words? "I can't get out." According to the testimony, Diddy micromanaged every detail of her life. Her music career, her bank account, even her housing. He gave her allowances like she was an employee, not a partner. She was isolated, dependent, and according to her own words, being pimped. Social media was divided. Some questioned her silence, but those who truly listened saw the bigger picture. Cassie wasn't just a girlfriend. She was a prisoner in plain sight. What happens when the people around you stop staying silent? When the hotel managers, assistants, friends, and former lovers all begin to speak? Diddy is learning that no amount of fame, money, or power can silence a truth that's been buried for years. We may only be in the early stages of this legal battle, but the public reckoning is already underway. Diddy's allies are either missing or staying silent. And the question everyone is now asking isn't just whether Diddy will be convicted, it's how many people knew and how long they were willing to stay quiet. Because if this empire is crumbling, it's not just because of one man. It's because the truth finally has a voice.